All right, folks, so it's been a busy week out on the farm, and one of the things that happened was we have electricity ran to both of the hoop houses here. So one's a propagation house, one is a hydroponic house in which we're going to be running a bunch of pumps and everything like that. So I want to make it real clear, I'm not an electrician, I don't like to mess with electricity, and this is not a video on how to install electricity with the proper wires and the proper breakers. But it is a walkthrough of how we're going to be using the hoop house and considerations that we have thought about as we've done it. And it all started with day one out at the farm. So a lot of the footage you're going to be watching right now is last year. So when we first got the property and we started the rough outline of where things were going to go, I knew that we were going to put the two houses out past the little 10th acre garden, and the breaker box was in this storage shed. And so we started with this 2-inch electrical conduit right here. We trenched it all the way out and we put it just past where the greenhouse was going to be. Having this done first before we did all of the water and all of the landscape fabric and everything here saved us a ton of money and kept this from getting messed up as they did the electricity. So always be thinking about where you're going to be putting things. So I just want to give everybody a full scope of how electricity gets from the utility company to the greenhouse. So it all comes from our supply on that transformer, and here's our supply line to the farm. It comes off this masthead into our meter to the farm. It goes down into this box, and this conduit goes to the shop, through this conduit, and into the building. It goes into the back of the breaker box, and then the new service line comes up this conduit, through the roof, and it comes out the building through the conduit that the electricians put in, bent, and down into that original pole that we did. Once it runs through the length of the 10th acre, it comes up to this box, and then it's ran to the first breaker box in the 30-foot hoop house. This is where the main wire is coming into the box, and this box that comes out of it and goes to the other hoop house along the ground. And here's the first thing I want everybody to kind of universally pay attention to. We oversized this box. As we are out on this farm and as we're testing new things and as the farm grows, I wanted enough space to put a DJ booth in here. We could put a hot dog stand, we could put more pumps, more filters. The point is, I've got room to grow in here, and each of these works something specifically in this house. And let's start with the first thing. The thermostat is hooked up and it goes through, and whenever we have it set, and once the cover is on, we're going to power to that fan right there. We have outdoor plugs, we have everything in a junction box, we have everything covered. So as we're watering or the weather is inherently happening, it's protected as much as it can be. Now we're not done yet, so don't judge us, but this is kind of our tropical experimental bed on the permaculture side. And I have a plug for this pump. We're eventually going to put a little fountain in here, and then there's another plug for whatever we decide to do later on. Could be a heater, could be running hot water lines in here. We're going to do a lot of experiments in here, so I wanted to overkill the plugs. And I have the same thing on the other side, just in case. The other thing I wanted to make sure we did was have lights in here. I do plan to work at night quite a bit, and so we have lights that are on the ridge pole for any lights or any overhead, or if we have to run a service line down below. And the other things that we had is on a separate line, we had two right about where the purlins are, and that's going to be where two circulation fans. And now I'm going to tell you two mistakes that I made whenever I was talking to electricians that caused two change orders that added a couple of $100s to the bill. So mistake number one was I did not realize, even though we've carried these for a while, that the bigger 36-inch fan that we carry has to be directly wired in. It doesn't have a plug like the smaller fans that we have for the other hoop house, even though it's the same size motor. So the next thing that I messed up on, I told the electricians that they could use the backside of the hat channel for the most part to run the wires for these two circuits, but I didn't tell them on be careful when you secure it with these clamps, because when they ran their self-tappers, they just put the points out to where the plastic and the insect netting is going to be. And this is a good example of, we hired a great electrician company, but these people aren't on the farm. They don't know how a hoop house is built. And I failed to see into the future to be able to say, hey, make sure you don't put the points to where the plastic is going to be. My fix was I went ahead and ordered these little vinyl caps that we're going to put on every single one. It was a cheap fix, but the problem is I have to go through and do this every time we have a point out, so we don't run the risk of tearing up plastic or insect netting. Hopefully it won't be too big of a deal because this is set back a little bit. It's just a lesson that it's really hard to foresee everything, and when problems come up, let's not make a big deal about it. Let's just find a solution and get it fixed. And now we'll follow this other conduit that goes on the ground. And it took a minute to decide, are we gonna run that above, or are we gonna run it on the ground? I had to make a little concession for whenever we put the plastic on that side. But either way, it's a quick, easy fix and it's not a big deal. So another thing I wanna point out is the height of the plugs. And that's 2 reasons. Number 1, this is our propagation house. We're going to be cleaning in here. We're going to be spraying and watering. And I wanted to make sure that this was not going to be anywhere near the ground. Now, true, as the roll-up sides come up, it might be a little bit exposed, but again, that's why we put things in these sealed boxes. And whenever we don't have anything plugged in, there's a nice gasket that keeps the water out. The other thing about having it at this height is I don't have to bend down and spend extra labor every time I'm plugging something in and out. So again, big overkill. You know, we don't know what we're going to be doing in here as the years go on. So I have 4 double plugs on each side. That's way more than anybody else would ever use. But let's take a look at what we did on this one up above. So I did the same setup as we have 2 on the side for the circulation fans, and I have 2 on a separate circuit for the lights. We had these extra shop lights that are on a cord. They already had a nice rubber strap on there. And as you can see at night, this thing lights up really nice. So as we get hotter into the summer and I want to work more and more late into the evenings, I have a perfectly lit situation out here in which all these LEDs, they don't take a lot of power, and I think they look great. And again, I drastically oversized the box here because I can foresee in the future needing more power outside. Maybe we're going to run power to the 2 little hobby houses that we have out there. I don't know what we're going to do. So I wanted to make sure that we had plenty of room. Sure, it was a little bit extra money for a bigger box right now, but it's much better than completely redoing it in the future. And then this is the plug-in for the fan that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. So now I'll talk about a few things that you don't have to do to save money. Number 1 is you probably don't need as many plugs as we do. So just having something to run the fan and some lights, maybe some chargers or heat mats are all going to be something that you could totally do on the end wall to keep that material and labor costs down. Now, a little bit of a sticker shock. I was expecting this to come in around the $3,000 or $4,000 mark. This wound up costing us about $10,000 to do, which is completely crazy with inflation and as much as everything is right now. But we also had to run about 150 feet from the box to here of service line before we even got to it, which drastically added to much of the cost. And then every single time we had a plug with a box and all the metal conduit and everything like that, everything added. But again, we're investing on this farm for a future, for just years to come, and overdoing it now is going to save us from having people come back out. Things are probably going to be more expensive later on. So again, we oversize now, so we would already have this infrastructure in place when we need it as we grow into it. Now, making that decision early on as a farmer or as a homeowner, you know, you may decide, hey, I can get away with an extension cord for our heat mats when we need it. Hey, we don't have a hydroponic system. We're not going to be running pumps and aerators. All these things are the variables that we're doing on our farm that you may not necessarily have to do on yours. So again, most of the electricity that you're going to be using is in a propagation area. So if you have something like this drop-down shelf like we have a kit for, this gives you an area for a heat mat, gives you an area for grow lights, which means you may just need 1 plug here and not all of the stuff that we had to have. May decide just to do it with an extension cord. I've seen that on farms all over the place. And as long as you're plugged in and it's safe and it's not too much of a run, I think you're gonna be okay. The other thing to look out for, and we really couldn't avoid it in our propagation space, but keeping the water away from the electricity is probably going to be a good idea. Just make sure it's not under a connection where an outlet may be or 2 extension cords may be. Try to keep those areas separate. The other thing you'll notice is running everything in that conduit and having it go right to a breaker and route to the lines. It's not hidden in a wall. So if you ever do have troubleshooting that you need to do, maybe an outlet went out, maybe a GFCI has been tripped and you just need to reset it, maybe the breaker's thrown, it should be real easy in a hoop house to be able to tell where that happens at. So bottom line, match the electrical components to the workload that you either plan to do or could do in the future. You don't have to go as haywire as we did, but think about heat mats, think about lights, and think about, hey, if I really overdid this, take a look. A lot of places where you buy stuff, the technical sheets are online and it gives you your amperages, and you can either plug that in yourself or tell your electrician, hey, I'm going to be running this many fans, this much electricity, these many outlets. I would like to be able to run a radio. maybe a phone charger. It's all little tiny draws, but they all add up. And so that's why you want to make sure to break that into different circuits. So again, I'm here to tell you things to look out for, how we ran the infrastructure. I'm not here to tell you how to install that. If you've done something in the past and you really wish you would have ran more outlets, or you're running other equipment other than what we mentioned in here, things like hot water heaters or heated lines, go ahead and let us know in the comments. We're always interested to see what you're doing in your setups. And then next week, we're going to talk to you about all the planting that we've done over this last week, now that more infrastructure is done and we're seeding more stuff out. We'll see you next week.